It's either you call it every time or you call it zero. If you got an airborne drag / leaper, you can be the big cheese like, I'm an umpire, I'm in charge, I can call it, oh, that's better. I can institute my authority when I want and not when I want. But when they crow hop, it's either you got to call everyone or you call none of them.
At the field, in your car, or on the couch, get your fast pitch info from the coach's mouth. Welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast with your hosts, Jay Bolden and Ken Kraus. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast. This is Ken, here as always with that incredible man, the man you always wanted to talk to, Mr. Jay Bolden. Jay, how you doing today?
I'm actually doing pretty good, Ken. Appreciate all those props, but yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to talk to me. It's even sometimes my wife doesn't want to talk to me. So I think those are, what you said, there's a little bit off key there, but how you been doing? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good with me. The weather's been up and down, as you know, here in the Chicago area. We had 70 degrees, and then a few days later, we had a big influx of snow, but now it's all melting, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit nicer for weekend softball.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the weather stays, nice. We start our conference play this week and weekend, and looking forward to that. And it's crazy how fast the season always goes. But once we hit end of March here, it's all conference play, and then into the conference tournament in early May. So it's exciting to get going, and hopefully the weather cooperates this year. So it's exciting and ready to go for conference play.
Good. Are you guys at home this weekend?
So the conference kind of changed. They're doing a 3-game series now. So we either play 1 away and then 2 at home, or it's vice versa of that. So we're actually away first and then home on this weekend. So yeah, that's kind of how they changed our conference a little bit. So it's a 3-game series now instead of just 2. So yeah, we will play both away and home this week, and most weeks like that now going forward.
Oh, nice. Well, good luck to you guys. Hope everything goes well, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. So, hey, I want to get into our guest right away today, if you don't mind. I'm excited to talk to this person. Has probably forgotten more about pitching than I think I'll ever know. So I really want to make sure that we can get to him right away. Give some people some information about this amazing guest we have today, Ken.
All righty. Well, he's definitely a VIP in the softball world, so we don't want to keep him waiting too long. So today we feel honored to be speaking with a true fast-pitch softball pitching legend, both as a player himself in the men's game and as a pitching coach in collegiate and international play. As a player, he spent more than 30 years competing at the highest level in the world as one of the top pitchers in the world. During that time, he was a 6-time member of USA Softball's men's national team, where he played all across the globe, including the U.S., Canada, New Zealand, the Dominican Republic, the Cayman Islands, the Netherlands, Guatemala, and the Czech Republic. During that time, his teams won the gold medal in the 2002 Pan American Championships, as well as a gold medal in the 1999 U.S. Olympic Festival. He was also the only American selected to the All-ISC team in 2010. In national competition, he was a 2-time member of the USA Softball Major Level National Championship teams, while personally earning 6 USA Softball Major Level All-American awards. His resume as a coach is equally impressive. Our guest began his collegiate coaching career in 2009 after joining the staff at the University of Missouri as director of pitching. In 2015, he was promoted to head pitching coach. From there, he became the head pitching coach and assistant coach at Kennesaw State, and in 2019 joined the staff at Virginia Tech in the same capacity. During his time there, the Hokies won the ACC championship in 2019 and 2022 and advanced to the NCAA Super Regionals in 2021 and 2022. He later went on to serve as Director of Pitching Development at Liberty University in 2024 before joining the staff at the University of Evansville in 2025. He is the only pitching coach to ever develop the Pitcher of the Year in all 4 of the major conferences, including 2 in the Big 12, 3 in the ACC, and 1 in the SEC.
He also has 20 All-Americans to his credit. Throughout that time, our guest was also the owner of the largest pitching academy in the country. Of course, we can only be talking about one man. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Doug Gillis to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast.
Oh, I got a lot to live up to there. So, yeah.
Welcome, Doug.
Happy to be here. So,
yeah. We're definitely happy to have you on here. That's really exciting. You know, you're kind of Jerry and I talked about some of the people that have been influences on us. You're certainly one of them, but you've also been an influence on some of the people who have been an influence on us. So really, you know, kind of the top of the coaching tree.
yeah, thank you very much.
All right. So, Doug, let's get into it right away here.
Yeah.
How did you first get involved with fast pitch? Like, where did it all start for Doug?
My dad was a player, so I watched him play, and the game was bigger back then. You know, the men's game is dying right now, and it's a bigger game back then. So, you know, my dad was good at judging talent and took me where the best pitchers in the world, you know, to see. You know, he introduced me to the game and, you know, showed me the high level of play, and I liked it. And, you know, the game was bigger back then. I was a bat boy, and I kind of started pitching, and, you know, through my dad and through my family. Yep.
When did you start pitching? How old were you, and how did you learn it?
I was about 8 or 9. And once again, my dad taught me. And then at that time, there weren't leagues for boys, but we had a competition we always played in Saginaw, Michigan, with another town in Ontario, Cambridge, Ontario. And then once a year they did this, and they called it Can American Games. And so there was a 3-game series. There was a 12 and under team, a 14 under team, and they always put it together. And men's fast pitch was pretty big in Canada at that time. So they put together the boys team, you know, and we played once a year there. So that's my introduction to playing. So I learned to pitch on my own. My dad taught me, and trial and error, and watching them, how the best do it, and trying to copy them.
Doug, who are some of the men's fast pitch teams that you played for throughout your career? You can just give us a few. I know, you know, a lot of times guys are moving from team to team or subbing for team to teams, but just give us some of the teams that you played for back in the day.
To finish up my last question, my dad sponsored the team too, and I was bat boy, and he brought over some of the best pitchers in the world. So he brought over Kevin Hurley, he offered, but he also brought over Michael White.
Okay.
So Michael White is the head coach at Texas. So Michael White lived with me for a year in my bedroom. Okay. All right. He came over. I was 15. He was 18. And now suddenly when he's interviewed, he's younger than me. I don't know how that happened. Okay. All right. So, all right. So he was a up and coming young stud pitcher who turned out to be one of the top 5 pitchers of all time. We lived together too. Okay. And my dad brought him over. And so I got exposure that way. You know, I was a bat boy. I was lucky. I was a bat boy for some of the best pitchers of all time. So when I copied them, I was, you know, I didn't know any better. I was just copying the motion of the best in the world. So I learned by default. So I was really lucky in that manner as a young, you know, pitcher growing up.
Were you able to ask them questions, kind of, you know, if you were having trouble picking up something they were doing?
Yes, okay. yes. I did a lot. I was a nosy young kid. You know what I mean? So I did that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't know till we got older that you're privileged to say, hey, this is the best pitchers in the world. And I'm bat boy for them, and they're ranked 1 and 2 of all time. And I got to know them, and I got to train with them and all that stuff, you know. So I was quite lucky.
Yeah, kind of like being a young basketball player and having your roommates be the Bulls from the 80s.
Yes, right. And learning from them, yes. But the Jay's questions, the teams I played for, Orlando, and then I went to Ashland, and I went to Seattle. And Seattle was a great team. And then played for Bloomington, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And then I played for Decatur, Illinois Pride, which is another powerhouse. And then I went back home and played for Midland for 10 years. I played a couple of years in Aurora, too.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's my club teams. So that's just a lot of variety around the country. But that's how the men's game was back then.
When and how did you get involved with the national team? Was it they saw you playing in the in the national games, here in the U.S., and then you got picked for the national team, or is that something you had to pursue? How'd that happen?
Yeah. So at that time, there was a thing called the United States Olympic Festival, and it was a very big event. And I think it got so big, it was so expensive, they couldn't handle it anymore. Like the Olympic Committee had the U.S. Olympic Festival, and they had it 3 years, every 3 years, not Olympic year. So, it's Olympics and then Olympic Festival, then Olympics. So the Olympic Festival was an Olympic thing inside the U.S. only. And that's what they used to train and pick teams with. So at that time, I was invited because we had a north, south, east, and west team. 60 players got invited. Mm-hmm. And I did pretty well at them. So that got you on the map. That got you on the map as far as getting attention. And then 1 year I played for Decatur, and we won the national championship. And I had a good performance in the national championship. As I was the number 2 pitcher. Chub Changroa was the main pitcher, but I pitched in the big game in the winner's bracket, and I did pretty well. And so I got more attention. So, then I got invited to the national team tryouts, and then I made it. And once you make it and you get better and better, you're in a good position. 95 through 2005 was the prime of my career, and I made it a lot of those years. But yeah, you just work your way into it, and then you have to do well in the men's major championship and the Olympic Festival. And that got me on the map. And then once you're in the players' pool, you have to play your way out of it, or you have to fall off the map. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. What you do when you get old. So, yeah.
I can see that. So any favorite experiences or anything that you care to share?
I could write a book on the things I've seen, but there's one time, and it was like not a lot of people know this, USA Softball, or the ASA at the time, sent 5 pitchers for a month-long tour to the Dominican Republic. I was one of the 5, and they put us all on separate teams. So we're there to train their national team pitch batting practice to them. But they put us all on separate club teams or like county, and they're like county teams or statewide teams. And so we stayed at the Dominican Republic for a month. We had our own driver. I mean, they really treated us nice, Mm-hmm. And we can do anything we want, go anywhere we want, to beaches and all that stuff. And we played their national championship, which is like a 3-week long tournament. So I was on one team and whatever, and our team was in the finals, but the finals got rained out. So they rescheduled the final for a few days later at the city I was playing in. It's Santiago. We're in Santo Domingo. So they reschedule it in the town I was playing for, Santiago, which is like 3 hours away.
Okay.
So we didn't know. We just got on the bus. We go to a 3-hour trip. And we're just expecting to go to the field and play the national finals and play in front of 50 people. You know what I mean? Because the crowds there were small and big, and you didn't know what you're going to get. You just out of the country, you didn't know where you're going to get. So we showed up in Santiago, and there were thousands of people.
Wow.
There. Just thousands. And I was, what the hell is this? And all of a sudden, and we were the favorite. So we're pitching, and the people are showing up. And there's very little stands. Okay. So they're just all the way around. The home run fence was all brick. So they're seated, like just sitting on the brick.
Okay.
All around the home run fence, your legs hanging in play. And I was on the mound. I took a look at the home run fence, and there was not a vacant spot. There's people like side by side, all the way from foul pole to foul pole and beyond. And then they started coming over the side fences.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So they started coming into the park. So all the umpires could do was push the people beyond the foul lines. They were inside the fence.
Wow.
They're all in foul territory.
Oh, geez.
There's 1,000 people in foul territory. But all they could do was push the people back beyond the baseline. Okay, so in the grass, not the infield, but in the grass. Yeah. And then because they were all excited, their team is going to win the national championship, maybe. You know what I mean? If I don't blow it. Right. So, all right. So now we're heading 1-0, and it's exciting. I didn't expect this, but I got all pumped up because there's probably 3,000 or 4,000 people there total. So we're head 1-0 after the 6th inning, and we all got to go out in front of the dugout after the 6th inning and take the national championship picture. I said, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's 1-0, right? Yeah. And I said, and he goes, "Well, they got to get it on the news, and they need the picture because they're going to place it on the news. You know, it was that time of night, whatever." I said, "It's 1-0 in the 6th. The game's not over."
Yeah, right. And
right.
I'm sure,
and the field was.
I'm sure, like any ball player, you were superstitious too.
Yeah, you can't take the national championship picture in the middle of the game.
Yeah, that's a guaranteed loss.
So we took the picture. I go back in the dugout. It's 1-0 lead. I said, "Man, I better not mess up this lead." And we're playing on playing a good team, and the field was only 235 feet fence. That was a really short home run fence for men's ball. And all of a sudden, I walked the leadoff hitter.
Ooh.
Okay, in the 7th, after taking the national championship picture.
Oh boy!
They bunt him over, but they throw to second base, and we got the force. You know, the runner didn't slide, which is bad news, and we forced him out. And it was a close play; they couldn't call him safe, but it was, you know. And then I got the next 2 outs and whatever, you know. So we won 1-0. But the thing is, there's people on the field, and you know, people on the field in foul territory. They couldn't get a ball. And we took the championship photo in the middle of the game in the 6th inning. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was a really weird stuff.
That's strange.
But it all worked out fine. We won 1-0, and I got out of it, and everyone was happy. You know what I mean? But it was like, you're taking the national championship picture and put it on the news in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
the game's not over yet.
I mean, most ball players.
That's one of the most unique things I ever experienced playing.
Yeah, I mean, most ball players will wear the same socks when they're on a win streak, or they won't step on the chalk lines. And here you're taking a national championship picture. Yeah, that has to be insane. You know, everybody's got to be going crazy with that.
And we're not ahead at 7-0. It was 1-0.
Right.
And it ended the 6th inning because they had the news truck.
Anything could happen at that point. Yeah. Well, it's funny too when you're talking about, you know, all of the people lining along the sides. That's like the Bartman ball times 2,000 or 3,000.
Yes. It's like if it was 3,000 people, were a couple thousand people between the wall and the baseline, or you know, on the field. Yeah. You know. And there weren't no stands in the outfield in the bound. You know, it just stands were only by the Heim home. You know, so there's not enough people. But then all of a sudden they just flow over the fence and sit on the field. You know, or stand on the field.
Yeah, it's a little different in the DR.
It was really unique. Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
So Doug, I want to switch gears a little bit with you here and get into a little bit about lessons. Like, when did you first start giving lessons, and were you giving it to men's, helping the men's fast pitch players too, or females, or was it both when you first started doing lessons?
It was both, but it's mostly females, because females like more take training in high school ball and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I was like 21 when I started, and the women's game is much bigger than the men's game. Okay, I know I say this, the women's game is much bigger than men's game, but the men's game is like 30 years ahead of the women's game. Things you see now, we saw 30 years ago. in women's ball or like in men's ball.
Like what?
Okay.
Can you give us an example?
It's it's 1,000 times bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 1,000 times bigger. I was the one who's seen the stuff before it happens now, and it's happening now in the women's game too. But I talked, over the years, I trained about 20 to 30 guys, not much. You know what I mean? All right. And sometimes younger guy pitchers doing some ISC clinic or whatever, So I've done a handful of those, but 99% of the time it's young girl pitchers or lady pitchers in high school and college and all that stuff. Yeah. But I was 21 when I started. Yeah.
Was it different training the females versus the males?
Yes. I think you always got this stereotype, like, and it's kind of true. The girls are more coachable than the guys, but they also listen to anybody. Like sometimes girls would listen to bad information and just do it. And the guy would say, "That's stupid. I'm not going to do that." Like this exaggerated example, an 18-year-old freshman in college. And if it's a baseball coach and a baseball pitcher, and he told him to do the most insane thing, stupidest thing ever, the guy would look at him and say, "Man, screw you. I'm not going to do that." You know what I mean? The 18-year-old freshman girl, sometimes, and if you told them to do something really stupid or whatever, they'll do it. You know what I mean? Right? So, but that door swings both ways. And two, I think guys learn more by imitating. Okay. Like I see, I copy, hey, they do it like this, I'm going to copy them. That's how I learned,
right.
And I think that's the biggest difference, that they see it, they visualize it, and they copy it more for the guys. And some of the girls I give lessons to are more step by step. Some of them can fill in the blanks and some of them can't. Some of you got to break the motion down into 6 parts and some are only 2 parts, because when we break it down into 2 parts, you got an athlete that can fill in the blanks. And sometimes you don't have that type of athlete that can fill in the blanks. And that's nothing criticized, because sometimes those people turn out to be really good.
Yeah. Doug, I want to say,
recognize the athlete.
I want to say something or ask you something too, because I feel like sometimes that's kind of like the missing link between some of these kids that I'll work with, right? Is like, okay, you talked about imitation, like, you kind of tried to like imitate what the best men's pitchers were doing. And I'll have a kid that'll come in and I'll say, okay, like you're doing this. And I always ask them, like, how many kids do you see that are currently pitching in Division I level or any level, most levels for this fact, are doing that? And they'll be like, none. And I'm like, okay, so why are we doing that then? Right? If I'm going to use one of your former players, Keely Richard,
because somebody told me, somebody told me to do it.
I'll show a video of Keely Richard, right? And I'll show, hey, this is where she is on release, but look at where you are on release. Look at where your hand is on release. If we're not trying to copy that, we're never going to get to that spot, because again, I know people can do it differently, but however, these people have given us a roadmap. The best pitchers that you talked about were the best because of what they were doing with their bodies and their mechanics. Right. And I think Ken and I talk about this all the time. You'll go on Instagram or these crazy social media things, and you'll see people yanking their bodies left and right, jumping up and down, like putting their foot here and there. And it's like, whoa, what is going on? Who is even doing that at the highest level? So do you feel like that's like, we need to spend more time, like trying to not imitate, but like copy what we see with these elite movers and these elite pitchers that we see on TV?
Yes. Because the thing I talked about all my time in my clinics, and what I learned just as a young kid, when I saw all these elite movers or elite pitchers, they look different than the guys who are playing city league ball or Class A ball, right? Yep. So, and was like, but their rhythm's like this. They got better rhythm. They got better, they got better finish. They got better angles. They don't look the same. I didn't know any better. I was 15 years old, but it was like, man, they don't look the same. Yeah. So I want to be like that, right? But this is the thing I like to tell young college pitchers sometimes. I always tell them I never took a lesson, but I learned through impersonating people like you were talking about, right?
Amen.
So when I was a kid, because I was, a little kid, I would do like 5 or 6 guys impersonating them, and then I do it, and people got a kick out of it. I'm going to do my Kevin Hurley. I'm going to do my Owen Walford. I'm going to do my Ty Stofflet. I'm going to do my Chuck DRC. Blah blah blah. I'm going to do my Peter Meredith. Whatever, right? But if you do impersonations, in my case, those 6 people, you take bits and pieces from all of them that fit you.
Right.
And it goes, hey, I like that part of his emotion. I like that part of this guy's motion. I like that part of this guy's motion. So you learn that way. You learn how to move your body through just imitating. You don't have to do all those imitations in games. It's not the point. You just learn how to move your body.
Yep.
So I have this thing I do when I was coaching college. And I said, you guys don't know how important this is. And it's going to be like a fun day. But it was a fun day. But it was like, you guys don't know how important this is. So we're going to play a little game. I'm going to stand on the mound, pick a picture on staff. Oh, Keely Richard. Okay, here's how she looks. Emma Lemley, totally different windup. Here's how she looks. And they're like jaw dropping. Like, how do you do that? Here's so-and-so. This is so-and-so. So they think I'm making fun of them, but I'm really imitating them in front of them, right? And here's you. And okay. And then how do you do that? And I was like, that's not the problem. You do the same thing. Emma, you pitched like Keely Richard. From the glove, no backswing, no overhead windup, blah, 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 short finish, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keely, you pitch like Emma. So-and-so pitch like this. You copy her. So they need to copy the other 4 people on the staff and do impersonations. Some people can do it, and some people make the same motion all the time. And I was like, you don't, and this is what I get on them about. I said, you see this pitcher pitch every day. She's your teammate. And you don't know that she goes over her head and has a little backswing. Like a short backswing, but she goes overhead and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm saying you go stand there and pitch like her, and they pitch like themselves and not even close. And that dumbfounds me. Like, you don't know what, you know what I mean? You don't, you don't even know she goes over her head and then comes down, and you see her pitch every day. And I was like, holy, that's the person who does more what they're told, then by what they see. Yeah.
And I think we're in a crazy time too, Doug. Like I will talk to kids when they come in for a pitching lesson, and I'll say, hey, who's your favorite pitcher right now? And they'll be like, well, I don't have one. So you're not watching Jordy Fromm pitch. You're not watching Najee pitch or anybody. Like maybe you are a fan of Virginia Tech. Who's the best pitcher on Virginia Tech? Why aren't you watching that pitcher so that you can emulate some of the movements that she's doing? And I think these kids they show up and they're like robots. And I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to be. If we want to be good, we've got to kind of do that. And they don't even know it. I'll talk about, hey, do you know who Jackie Traina is? They're like, who? Even the dance, who? I'm like, guys, if we want to get serious about pitching, we've got to study pitching. We've got to get into it. We've got to learn what these pitchers did to be successful at that level. And these kids nowadays, I don't think they're even paying attention to what's on TV. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. So they do this in all positions too, not just pitchers.
Right.
They don't idolize, not idolize, but who's your idol? Who do you want to copy? And they don't have an answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it can be anybody. And I want to be like, I want to move like Derek Jeter playing shortstop, or and Edgar Martinez at a right-handed swing or whatever, right?
Yep.
And whatever. And they don't have no people they looked up to and try to mimic their game after. And that's what's missing.
Yep.
Even one person, hey, I want to be like them someday. So I'm copying them. Now, a good story. I have one 8-year-old I'm working with in Chicago. And I look forward to working with her every time I see her. She was a beginner 4 months ago, or 6 months ago. But now she watches college softball every weekend. And I get such a kick out of her because she's like the story I told you when I was a bad boy. She comes in. Let me show you I forget her name, but the tall girl that pitches for Tennessee.
Carlin Pickens.
Carlin Pickens.
Let me show you my Carlin Pickens motion. Let me show you this girl's motion. Let me show you my Jordy Ball motion, right?
Yeah.
Right? And she's pretty good at them for being 8.5 years old. And I said, oh my God, I got a student who watches and copies and idolizes those girls. And I got one girl I'm working with that throws at Beecher High School. And she's going to Florida State next year. She's going to be a freshman at Florida State. She's really good. She comes sometimes after the 8-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
And she's really good. Okay. She's really good. The pitcher I'm talking about from Beecher, who's going to Florida State. And she sits and watches her. You know what I mean? And other students just like, I'm done with the lesson. They walk out of the building, and that's fine. And that's fine. They got lives too. But it's funny though. It's almost like she doesn't listen to me because she's watching her, which is a good thing, a good thing. So people learn multiple ways, but that's enlightening for me because it's a young kid who, but I got some good high school students who you ask them the same pitch. They have a short shelf life. So you say like, what's a girl you name for Alabama that won the national championship? Jackie Trainer, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I got girls at college girls last year, and I said, you ever heard of or watched Keely Richard? Now, Keely Richard was 4 years ago. So they were 14. That's like me and you guys talking about Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's like, we never saw him play. We don't know much about him. And they think they're 50 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the short life, the shelf life on those. Yes. Right. And you're going to be able to, if you do lessons in 5 years, and you're 16-year-old, right, or 17-year-old in 5 years. You remember the Carlin Pickens or into this or whatever, the girl from Texas Tech? No, I never saw him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, yep. The shelf. So it's not immediate in their world. They don't copy it. You know, but it's just like they are replaced so quick.
Yeah.
And they don't, and then the combination of that and they don't imitate a lot of times is the problem too.
Or sometimes when they imitate the surface stuff. Like, I can't remember who the pitcher was, the one that first started turning to her left before she'd start. All of a sudden you'd see a bunch of girls doing that because, they kind of picked it up. They thought, that looks cool. And then you hear the story later on that the reason that one turned to the left was that she was having trouble hiding her grip. So she would turn to the left so she could get her grip. It had nothing to do with her pitching. It was just a kind of a defect in the way she held the ball. But they were all picking up on that like it was some secret sauce.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's part of imitation too. But at least you know that.
Yeah, right.
At least you know that. I'm seeing girls like I talked about in college that can't imitate that. Even though it's part of the motion, it's just polishing up stuff or like a pre-motion stuff. But so at least if they know that though,
true.
At least they can learn to move. Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So
that's what I see a lot.
Hey Jay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think brush contact is for pitchers?
It's pretty high up there, Ken. Probably a 10 since it's hard to get maximum speed or accuracy without it.
Yeah, I agree. But have you ever had a student who struggled to get good light brush contact?
Sure, all the time, in fact, especially when they've been taught hello elbow and are trying to throw around their hips or they're sliding their hips out of the way, doing that crazy ninja move.
So what do you do when you run into that situation? Keep railing on them until they get it right?
I used to do that a lot, but then I learned about a product called Pitch Squeak, Ken.
Pitch squeak? What's that?
It's a cool little armband with a squeaker inside of it.
Like a dog toy?
Yeah, kinda.
So how does it work?
Well, you slip the armband onto the pitcher's forearm and you set it so the squeaker is where the brush contact should happen. Then, when the pitcher goes into release, she tries to get it to squeak, like this. If she makes it happen, she got brush. If there's no sound, she knows immediately and can make a correction.
Wow, cool. So she gets immediate audible as well as tactile feedback.
Oh, there you go again, showing off with those big and technical words again. But yeah, she can feel it and hear it.
Does it really work?
You bet it does. I use it with my students all the time, and it helps them learn how to get brush contact pretty quickly if they practice with it.
Sounds neat. Where can I get one?
Oh, it's easy, Ken. Just email support@pitchsqueak.com, and Jason, the inventor of it, and a Polygirl certified pitching coach himself, will ask you how many you want and send them right out.
I'll do that today. Thanks, Jay. What's that address again?
Oh, you bet, Ken. It's support@pitchsqueak.com. One more time for those of you who are listening, support@pitchsqueak.com. And don't forget to mention in the email that you heard about it right here on From the Coach's Mouth podcast, and you'll receive 10% off.
I want to switch gears a little bit with you. We know you're passionate about a few things, and I want to talk to you about some of the changes to the pitching rules. That was kind of how we got connected to begin with, talking a little bit offline about it. What do you think about, say, like the leaping rule? What's going on with that and how people are approaching it these days?
The real reason they allowed leaping, it was they were not calling the rule right in the past. The leaping has no advantage. It licks their stride, not at all, because a leap is one push, one extension of your push leg. Okay. And a leap is like a dragging motion, athletically a dragging motion, but you can do it through the air. If your push off foot turns over and goes in the air an inch, when it turns over and then lands on the leather, so be it. You know?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we talked about before that people get it confused with the crow hop.
Right.
But I think allowing leaping is fine because the leaping is a kind of a made up term. There's step with old mechanics, there's drag, and there's hop. A leap is kind of like a garbage term.
Yeah.
It's a catch-all term. It's like shin splints. Shin splints can be one of five things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the bad thing is the invention of the word. You know what I mean? So, but the leaping is the same athletic principle as the drag, but your back foot doesn't have to stay on the ground, which just makes no advantage to the pitcher.
Yeah. And personally,
All right.
I think, I think it was a good thing that they changed that part of the rule that they, because you were just getting ticky-tacky calls. You were getting a lot of coaches complaining, especially at the younger levels, that, her foot's leaving the ground. It's like, well, coach, don't worry about that. Teach your kids how to hit and it won't be a problem.
Right. And I was involved in the one of the biggest reasons, like episodes of it in coaching. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I know.
That was great, Doug. That was great.
Had Emily Lemley. She's a freshman. She's throwing well. And we're facing Florida. And I have an old speech about this. I'm not going to give it a speech, but I'm going to give it the key notes. And she was pitching against Florida in the Super Regionals. And she was pushed and dragged. And at some time, her foot came off the ground as she turned the shoe over. So she's landed on the leather and the shoelaces every pitch. Okay. And sometimes it was higher than others. But in no country, no division, anything, whether that be called a leap or anything, in any part of the world, that would not be called anything illegal. And so she had problems that year getting calls, and then she 3 weeks and nothing, and all of a sudden they pick and choose when to call it, right? Okay, and you can debate what the rule was at that time, blah, blah, blah. The thing about it is, the girl that was pitching against her at the same time for Florida had a giant crow hop. And a crow hop is definitely an advantage.
Yes, it is.
And, okay, so I always say a crow hop is like, I mean, I'm just saying this for discussion. You know, the crow hop is like doing 85 and a 55.
Yeah.
And what Emma Lemley was doing is doing a 56 in a 55.
Right.
All right. Barely doing anything. So, and I was the reason that people got tossed and all that stuff, we happened in the regional too. But we won that, but their head coach got tossed and we had to finish the game and all that stuff, right? The reason that happened, and this is really bad, but it's the truth. If you got a crow hopper, it's either you call it every time or you call it zero.
Right.
If you got an airborne drag / leaper, you can be the big cheese, like I'm an umpire, I'm in charge, I can call it, oh, that's better. I can institute my authority when I want and not when I want. But when they crow hop, it's either you got to call everyone or you call none of them. So when the pitcher is so illegal, they can't change your mechanics in the middle of the game, which they probably couldn't. Okay.
Right.
So you don't call everything anyway. So I brought that up to a couple people, like the guy in charge of the umpiring for the SEC. When you guys see people so illegal, they just say, I mean, almost saying, screw you. I'm going to pitch the way I want, and I dare you to call me. And they're so illegal, you don't call them because they're so illegal every pitch. They really can't pitch. And one of those girls, and you may know like a lot of them, but you remember the girl from Florida, Kelly Barnhill?
Oh, yeah.
Kelly Barnhill was an out-and-out giant man-sized crow hopper.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what are you going to do with her? You're going to call straight arm, put your arm out, and call illegal 100 pitches in a row, or are you just going to let her pitch? So if you completely don't follow the rules and you completely break the rules, you're never called. Yep. But if you're ticky-tack, like you said earlier, I think, Ken, if you're ticky-tack calls and this and that, they will call you once in a while. And that was my... You know, they don't see that on TV, but that was my giant complaint about that. You're calling Emily Lemley for this airborne drag, and the pitchers gets pitching in the relief against her for Florida has a giant man-sized crow hop, and you just look the other way because you know you can't do anything about it. Yep. And that's what's so that's the good reason they changed the rule. You mentioned, Ken. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, but that doesn't it doesn't lengthen their stride and all that stuff, and and so but the crow hop, and I think you're leading to that. The crow hop, a leap is one extension the back leg. The crow hop is a double extension the back leg because you extend the back leg and you land on your push off leg. Okay, and you extend it again.
Yep.
And so the difference is easy to tell, not for some umpires and some college coaches, but if you taught what it is, the difference is easy to tell. So and then
I know you've mentioned before, the way that they're defining the crow hop now about the sole of the shoe coming down or something. I know you've mentioned that that's not the way that it should be defined. What do you think the definition should be?
Yeah, we got called for that 2 or 3 times, and the kid was on her foot, and then went. It's still a very confusing thing right now.
Yeah. So a leap is a leap or a drag because it's the same mechanical thing. It's one push of your drive leg, push off leg, and when you push and then you coil your back leg and land in the same leg you push off. So, your weight transfer on the leap or drag is right, left. If you're right-handed, push up your right, land on your left. A crow hop is push off your right, land in your right, and then the left. It's right, right, left, right, right, left, and a drag is right, left. And it's rhythmically how it plays out too. It's a different rhythm. Right, right, left, right, right, left, or right, left. So it's very easy. So, and my complaint, I think we talked about this before, is when you have an umpire get in the low stance and examining the ground and all that stuff. And I said, what are you doing? You don't need to examine the ground and act like you're staring at it. I mean, you can see a crow hopper drag in the 20th row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't, you don't need to be right there. Yeah, right. So I think, though, people are confusing him, and they're starting to teach crow hop. But the biggest thing, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, but if I have many of my kids through body control and learning how to use their body, not the rules. I don't really give a crap about the rules. I want them to learn how to work their body. So if I always tell this story, if I do a group clinic, and I did one in Dayton a couple months ago, and there was like 50 people there. I'm going to show you a drag. Boom, I'm showing a drag full speed. I'm going to show you a step, how they used to do it way back when. I'm going to show you a crow hop. So I show you that. I said, well, okay, that's because I can control what my legs do. Mm-hmm. So I said, I want you to do that. I want you to stand up. You're a ninth grader. I want you to stand up. You should be able to stand up in front of 50 people. And so here's what a drag looks like. Here's what a crow hop looks like. Here's what a step looks like, or whatever, right? Just for the sheer fact, not to confuse you, not to say you're going to pitch different ways in the games. I'm not talking about being tricky like that. Just so they have an idea of what they're doing with their body. So all these coaches at coaches clinics, I always get this question. I get this kid crow hopping and I can't stop. How do I stop them? The answer is make them crow hop on purpose. Is she doing a crow hop by accident and you had to film her and she goes, oh, I didn't even know I was doing that? Then there's a problem. So if you crow hop on purpose, you can drag on purpose. The accidental crow hop, if the girl who doesn't even know she's doing it, is a bigger problem than the rules. She has no idea what her lower body was doing. Mm-hmm. That makes sense to you guys? I'm saying that right?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So I always say make a crow hop on purpose. Why? Because if she's crow hop on purpose, she has control of her body. Then you can make her drag on purpose and this and that. The accidental crow hop that they didn't know what they're doing is a problem because they have no feel of what their legs are doing. So I'm not saying being tricky, but some of my pitchers, not all of them, a handful, I said, you should be able to crow hop, drag, and this and that just to feel your legs maneuver. Now you're going to pitch and drag and follow the rules and all that stuff, but it's not one style for this. It's if you're coordinated with your legs, you should be able to do all of them.
Right.
Not that you could do all of them in games, but I'm just saying, just because there's different strength and principles to that. There's advantage to the drag and there's advantage to crow hop, and they're different. The pros and cons of each of them are the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Well, Doug, sometimes when I've got a girl who's kind of, using her left leg, she's running right past her right leg, and it's just kind of dead and being, dragged behind and not contributing anything. I'll have her crow hop on purpose. I'll tell her, look, this is illegal. We're not going to do this as a regular thing, but see if you can hop, get in here, take a step onto your right foot if they're right-handed, and then jump forward and land on your right foot. And it's amazing how many of them can't do it without a few practice tries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because it's a rhythm thing. It's more of a rhythm thing with the arm. The arms move and when you do it. And so it's more of a rhythm thing than it is a leg drive thing at all. And it's more of a rhythm thing. A lot of people don't know this. If you do a discussion about Oh, okay. I'm going to show you 3 strides: the old-fashioned step, a drag, and a crow hop. Which one is harder on the body? Which one requires more leg drive? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And most 90% of the people say crow hop and said no. Crow hopping is easy. Crow hopping is a lazy man's short stride. You just skip,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? You skip forward in the pitch. Right. Okay. When you push and drag, that takes athletic ability and all that stuff. So, and dragging, it's much more harder to do right than a lazy crow hop. But when you said you have something your students do that, so the crow hop builds rhythm. You know what I mean? So, like, hey, I'm going to do this little hop and rhythm thing like you talked about with your kids. That builds rhythm. Okay. Yeah. And it's not so much is like it's a harder push. It's a rhythmic
Right.
thing. It's like learning a dance step or whatever.
Right. Just
just
kind of activating.
Yeah, it's a rhythm thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's like learning a rhythm thing. But the thing is the crow hop, and I think we talked about this before, it doesn't necessarily increase your stride. It can. Okay. A leap doesn't increase your stride length at all. But the crow hop doesn't necessarily increase your stride length. But the crow hoppers are better at body rotation because they have more time to rotate their body. They're worse at direction, but better at body rotation. And they tend to be better landers, better posture at landers. Draggers have better direction, better stride angles, and I'm saying overall, worse at landing and worse at body rotation. They're the opposite. The pros and cons are the opposite. So I don't know if you guys remember this girl, but she was really good. She was on the USA team and first team All-American for Missouri, I think 3 years in a row. Chelsea Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
If you remember her, Chelsea Thomas,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
She was like pitch and drag and all the time, right? She used to do crow hopping drills in practice all the time. I made her crow hop in practice and rhythm, and she had to get more body rotation, got more rhythm. Yeah, you never saw in games. You know what I mean? But she knew how to do it. She knew how to do it for the side effects. There's positive side effects with crow hopping that you can learn even though you don't do that in games.
Doug, I want to talk to you a little bit about the holy grail of pitching is still speed, right? How hard you can chuck it. In your experience, what do you think the biggest contributors are to speed with pitching mechanics?
Speed comes from elasticity. Some people, the easy way to explain elasticity, their muscles are like giant rubber bands. You know what I mean? Some people that rubber band muscles, they really elastic.
Yeah.
And so if they're elastic in strength and rhythm that's the word people throw hard, because you have and strength angles, which is hard to explain on audio.
Yeah.
But elasticity, they're really whippy. Strength and rhythm, timing, and kinematic sequence is now the buzz term, but that's old news. Okay, so it's rhythm. So that's how people, because you can see some people like in the weight room are really strong and can't throw hard, and you can see someone who weak and can throw hard, and there's a reason for that.
So, Doug, I want to ask you a question real quick here too. You do a drill that I've seen, and I use it sometimes too as well, where you have kind of like a 3-step where you cross over with your cross over with your left, cross over with your right, and then cross over the power line with your stride leg again. Can you explain why you teach that drill and like what the purpose is behind it?
Okay,
I use it,
loaded
Doug.
question.
I use it.
Okay, so there's explanations at various levels. So I'm going to give you the beginner on up. Okay. All right. So power line, blah, blah, blah. Power line is a healthy thing, but it's not absolute. So not all great pitchers are on the power line, but it's not meaning the power line is a bunch of BS. Okay. But most kids, 80% of kids, maybe 90% of kids miss their power line to their glove side. Their glove side.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And the only reason they learn how to power line is they don't do that on purpose. but they miss to the, I'm right-handed. So if they miss to the left on purpose or by accident, well, if you put them on the mat with a line or on a board, you're not correcting them. You're just treating the symptom and you put them on the board or this and that. No, you're looking straight. No, they don't know what straight is. So they have the miss on the left by accident, which they do. Then you make them short step and overcorrect. Miss on the other side on purpose. If you miss to the left by accident, which they all do, and then you miss to the right of the power line on purpose, then you can find the middle. That's the beginnerist.
Okay.
The beginner explanation. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you overcorrect at half speed. Anything overcorrect at half speed, you got a chance of doing full speed. So if you overcorrect at half speed, by logic, you have a chance at doing it right full speed. So that's the initiative of the 3-step scissor walks. Then you break it into 2. And then 2, now, if you stride to full speed and cross your power line, and this is what freaks me out as an instructor the most, like coaches and all that stuff. And then the full speed cross the power line. Like Monica Abbott, she's left-handed, but she crossed her power line for 7 to 9 inches. She's not even close.
Yeah, right.
Okay. She doesn't even close to step into the catcher. She crosses it, right?
Yep.
And she's good, right? So, okay. So, so when you do that, okay, and if you try to cross your power line and you fail is a strong word, but if you fail and you land on the rope, okay, you try to cross the rope, but you land on the rope and you fail. You know what you are? Straight to the catcher.
Yeah.
Straight on the power line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
better than you were 20 minutes ago, stepping 20 degrees to the left. Now, if you cross the power line, you want to leverage angle. So I always told those kids, I said, and it's a hip angle thing is kind of hard to explain. Okay, so I'm not going to go there. That's the really hip angle thing is the real reason they do this, most advanced reason we do it. But anyway, but the ordinary explanation is this. So you're on the line and you cross it, or you're on the line and you're on the glove side. Mm-hmm. So I always put those feet in those. This is where you used to be, stepping on the glove side and more open to the catcher. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to put you on the other side, more close to the catcher. Like you cross the power line by 3 or 4 inches, whatever. And I make him stand there in both positions. And I said, this is a dorky example, but just allow me to say it. If you're playing tug of war with your catcher, she threw a big rope and you played tug of war with your catcher, which position you were standing? Oh, the new one. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes sense to you guys?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you're a little bit over the power line. And then I throw your rope, you play tug of war. If you step open and you play tug of war, you can't pull them and they're going to pull you on your face.
Right.
So I said, that's your old stride angle. This is your new stride angle. If you hit a punching bag, which will you hit it from? The new angle. And you throw a softball, the yes. And then 2, and you open and close, which I don't use those terms, but it's not a bunch of BS, but open and close, whatever. They're old terms, but it's relevant. What's smoother on your open and close? When you stride on this angle or stride this angle? As people stride to the left, have to jerk their opening around. They're not smooth. People cross the power line, naturally open by way of their stride. They're smoother. And it's risk-free to try it. Because if you fail at it, you're better than you were before. Mm-hmm. So it really matters how you introduce it, how you coach it, and how you present it. You know, it's not like a new thing, old thing. It's a very, you know what I mean? And that's how you present that thing.
Yeah, it sounds like.
And the thing is risk-free because if they fail, there's better stride alignment than they were in the past.
Sounds like I'm going to have to throw a rope in my bag now.
yeah. But it was, and I'll say this I say this in coaching clinics all the time. If I have 100 kids and they don't all do that drill because they don't all need it, but it's a simple warm up drill. That's what we use as a simple warm up drill. But you present it. If you do that presentation, and I cut half of it out on my explanation, but if you do it and you do the rope and all that stuff, and you do it for 100 kids, you will do it 100 different ways because certain kids have a different problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So it's not a cut and dry of my explanation, right? So that now the kid, he needs to hear this. This kid needs to hear this. This kid needs to hear this. There's still individual coaching within a unitary drill.
Doug, I have a question for you. And this is kind of, it's more of a health and safety type of thing. You've been around the game a long time, seen a lot of things. There's a lot more research being done, and, there's been suggestions of pitch counts for fast pitch pitchers, especially at the youth level. I mean, you've got coaches that teams that are playing 6, 7, 8 games in a weekend, and coaches that are trying to ride a single pitcher with it. I mean, do you think that we should have pitch counts, or do you not think it's an issue?
No, because I think playing year round hurts pitchers. Mm-hmm. They're too much playing year round. I can imagine being younger and playing year round. You hate the game by now. Yeah. Pitch counts, no, because individually it's how you feel. It's how good your arm feels that day. There's all kinds of things I can poke holes in. Okay, so some people, not all people, when they throw a rise, that's like hard work for them. Even a good rise, not a fake rise, but a good rise. And there is a lot more labor to that. And when you throw nice and easy drops, there's not as much. And I was that way, and facing a good team or facing a bad team, right? So you can count a rise ball as a pitch and a half for some people, and a drop ball for 8/10 of the pitch. And are you counting changeups? I was erratic at my change, but I threw a lot of changeup. I got tired.
Yeah,
and people, you're going to count a change? You're going to count mine. Mine's worth 2. You know what I mean? Because I a lot of labor. Yeah, I'm a lot. Yeah, and some people are not like that. So it depends how aggressive. Are you throwing pitches that are difficult on your body or easier on your body? There's so many factors that people don't talk about. So in general, at the limit, like health, right? You got to take 1 month a year without a softball in your hand. 1 month a year. And that's like easy for me when I was growing up, but it's hard nowadays for these kids.
Yeah.
And you have to take a minimum of 1 month a year without a softball in your hands and 1 day a week without a softball in your hands. And you can still overthrow but the rules, right? And then I know you're not asking the question, but you're leading to it, or maybe the best pitchers I ever worked with are multiple sport athletes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They play other things. They're basketball, volleyball, track and field. It's not pick a sport when you're 10 years old and you play it the rest of your life and hate it when you're 18. And that is a big part of it too. And 2, you go extreme. I once pitched 8 games in 1 day.
Wow.
When I was 18.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I felt it. That's the only time I was like, I can't pick my arm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't pick up a ball for a week. You're right. 8 games in 1 day. Right. But I was 18. And there's, you can go, and how hard are they working? Are they got a smooth stride? Have they got a easy, like a smooth stride or a difficult stride? If I go push and drag hard as I can, I'm going to wear out really fast. I do a lazy crow hop or step and stride, I can through all day as of now. It's not the same. You know what I mean? So there's very factors. So I border in the how do you feel? Are you doing it right? When you get sloppy because you're getting tired, it's not benefit to do it more. And 1 month a year, 1 week day a week off, So I border on that because pitch counts. Are you count good pitches, bad pitches, this, you know what I mean? There's so many variables there.
Yeah. It's just funny when you said that about being 18. There's a lot of things you can do when you're 18 that you can go pretty hard in a lot of aspects.
Right. And this is a true story, and I'm telling you, and then this is what's the step era. And this guy was Kevin Hurley, which is like top 2 pitchers in the world, maybe the best pitcher in the world at the time. I was bat boy. I was a long time ago. And it was for my dad's team. And they won the International Softball Conference, World Championship in Saginaw. And I don't know their actual record, but it was like 87-8 or 87-7 was the season's record over that. Okay.
And they couldn't figure out how they lost 8.
Yeah. No, they can figure out. But anyway, because there's other teams in the league that were really good and all that stuff. So anyway, but they won the ISC World Championship. The story that blows people's mind was Kevin Hurley-Withers' main pitcher, right? And everybody knew that, right? He pitched every inning of the season.
Wow.
No one threw another pitch. And he was very good. He was a king of putting it on crews. When you face a Wednesday night team who was average, he just played catch. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He just, in his world, he's just playing catch. And they can't hit him. And they stepped it up to the competition. He lowered it and stepped it up. But he never let him score. He didn't get beat around. But he didn't work hard when he didn't have to. He was like a cat. He just jumped just as high as necessary. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right? That's a great analogy.
And he was like that. And he was really good. He threw really hard. And then you tell that story today to kids and like, what? That's no way you can do that. Yes, it's been done. And he never had any other problems, So there's more factors than that. But it's harder nowadays because the scores are higher, the balls are liver, this and that. So you can't do that.
It costs $500.
Yeah, that was an extreme example. Yeah. Yes.
So, Doug, we told you it'd be about an hour. We've had you a little bit over, so we appreciate your time. Ken, do you have any other questions for Doug? I'll do the last one today because I'm going to kind of change it up. But do you have another question for Doug or no?
Yeah, I just have one other one, and this is I'm just interested in kind of how you feel about this, but what gives you more satisfaction when you're working with, some high level kid that is elite and, is going to be a P4 type of kid, or maybe some kid who maybe she's not as blessed with ability, not as athletic, but you get her to a point where she becomes a really good pitcher?
I'm going to say both, and here's why. If you're a good coach, you can make everybody better. So that's what I say to college coaches all the time. I'm not going to tell you the names, but just big time college coaches. I say to them, if your pitching coach is good, they all get better. Even the kid who never pitches on TV, even the kid who's number 4 or 5, they get better. Don't hang your hat on the stud student. And you guys see people to do that. Like they have a stud student and they promote it and then promote it. I work with her. I work with her. I work with her.
Right.
And then, what about the other 80 kids you work with? How are they? You know what I mean?
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Right. And they promote it to no end. So I always say to these big time college coaches, if you got a good pitching coach, they all get better. Your ace gets better, and your number 5, who you really don't care about, who's never going to pitch in the big game, they get better also. So if every pitcher on your staff gets better, your pitching coach is doing a good job. If only one gets better because they naturally are better, it has nothing to do with your pitching coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if your pitching coach makes the bad pitcher average, that's good. And the great pitcher better, that's good. So the answer to you, and I'm not trying to be waffly on the answer, no, it's everybody. Because if you can coach, you can make everybody better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Jay and I talk about that all the time, where we look at it and say that, if my best pitchers, if it was me that was doing it, all my students would be that good. And they're not. They all vary based on their ability, their dedication, and a whole lot of other factors that go into it.
Yeah, we also say too, it's the ones that don't get it that keep us up at night, like that try to help them get it. Like we got to take more time. There's kids I'm working with. I'm like, man, you're the reason I have no hair. I got to figure you out, man. We got to get you where you need to be. So So okay, Doug, one last question. One last question for you. We usually ask like if you've had any hidden talents, but that's not where I want to go with this one today. Just because I know you're a little bit of a music junkie, I want you, if you can, I'm gonna put you on a spot here. Top 3 concerts you've ever been to.
Wow. How do you find that out? I'm more interested in how you find that out.
Well, again,
that's good because that's not like
you've been a mentor to me. You don't know. Like I played men's fast pitch. I was a sub. I played a little bit for Dolan and Murphy back in the day as a sub here and there, and played in a church league and looked up to you. I got to see you pitch in the 2000s, and you're just amazing. I use your rise grip. So for me, this is a great thing. We've never met personally. I've seen you. We've crossed paths, all that good stuff.
That's how you knew. Yeah.
So
You probably know some dumb things I did too.
Well, we don't have to get into that stuff. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, oh man,
that's a tough one.
I played it a lot.
Yeah,
that's a good question though, because I'm trying to do the hidden talent question. You say, I don't know, have that. So, the most unusual, I saw Prince at the United Center. Okay. And Prince was a perfectionist.
The purple one. Yep.
And he did a good show. The day before, the power went out at the United Center. The day before, he did 2 shows in a row. I wasn't that one. He had to finish his show late. He wasn't happy. So the downtown, there's a blues club. What's it called?
Buddy Guys Legends?
There's one in New Orleans, one House of Blues.
House of Blues. Okay, yeah.
House of Blues in downtown Chicago, right? With apartments on top.
Right. Yeah.
Right? House of Blues. Right. Okay. The Bob Newhart apartments on top. Right. So, yeah, if you remember that show.
Down by Marina City.
Yeah. And then, so the House of Blues, right? He was supposed to show up and just make an appearance there, like after the concert. So it's 12:30, and I go there, and it's a Tuesday, and it's half full. It's not packed, and it was $75 to get in. It was a Prince after party, and I said, "Is Prince going to really come here and just say hi and not shake hands, but just say hi and leave?"
Yeah.
And the bouncer told me he was supposed to do it last night, but because of the power outage at the United Center, he didn't get here to 4 a.m. or like 3 a.m. and he just walked on stage, he's high and he left. He kind of pissed off, right? So he didn't do anything for the people in an after party, and I don't expect that he should, right? So I'm in the House of Blues. There's like 100 people there, only 100 people. He shows up at 12:30. He brought 2 of the band mates with him. And, what's the Hudson girl?
Kate Hudson?
She's got a TV show.
No.
What's her name?
Kate Hudson?
Yeah, the famous.
Is it Kate Hudson?
No, Kate Hudson. Yeah. But anyway, I forget her name.
Jennifer.
She's from Chicago.
Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes. So there's here Jennifer Hudson on stage and then 2 bandmates, right? And he's putting out his little keyboard and guitar and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they're playing. They're playing like 2 or 3 songs. Just, he is making them up. They're not famous songs. He's just making them up, right? And I was like, this is really incredible, right? He's just playing. And it's like he got a flashback that he wasn't famous. You know what I mean? It was it's like he got a flashback. So he goes to the guy and the soundboard and the people running the thing. He turned around and says, "Lights off." And then what? I said, "Lights." He said, "Lights off." And they turned down the lights. Yeah. And he turned around and said, I said, "Lights off." So the whole place went dark, right? And this is so nobody can film. That's why he did it. And you can see 2 inches from your hand. But you know how your eyes would go after you stay there for a while. Sure. Your eyes are dead. And it was fun. 5 minutes later, you can look around and whatever. He played, and he was not, his hair was not fancy. You know what I mean? Yeah. His collar was not up. He didn't wear the high heel shoes. He was just like a little guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. He wasn't all fancy what he was and real, you know what I mean? Yeah. Right? And he played for another 2 hours.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fun of nobody. And it's like he got a flashback to when he wasn't famous. And I'm not dressed up. My hair looks normal. My collar's down. I have tennis shoes on. And that's why he did the no lights, because he didn't want any film. He's big on that. Nobody films everything.
Right.
And he didn't do anything the night before, so maybe he thought he owed it to him. But I said, "You just played." I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. You just played 2 hours in the United Center. You were at 11. You were 9 to 11. You got here at 12:31, and all of a sudden it's 3:30, 3:35, 45, and yeah, he played it like 2.5 hours.
Wow.
You know, and he's making up songs and this and that, and he plays every instrument, and it was like remarkable, because that's the most unusual thing I lucked into. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, yeah. And I saw Bruce Springsteen at the United Center 3 years ago. And that was a big thing, because it was Bruce and it was at the United Center.
Yeah. Right.
And now he's touring again, and Bruce Springsteen's going to play at the United Center in mid-May. This May on a Saturday. I'm thinking about going again. Just not the United Center, the Madison Square Garden. Sorry. Madison Square Garden in New York. So I went there 3 years ago, but it goes to Madison Square, and it's Bruce, and all the combination of those two. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome. I saw Bruce back in the day when he was at at that time, the Rosemont Horizon, now the Allstate Arena.
Right.
Yeah, I saw him there around the Darkness on the Edge of Town album release. And it was just an amazing show. And I remember, that was just funny. I'm going to share this real quick. But he gets up after the intermission, and he gets up and he's holding this little card in his hand. And he said that he got this card from someone that said that they were getting married in like 4 months, and he's got a great career going on right now, but music is fickle, and you never know. So maybe he'd like to take this gig playing the guy's wedding. And it was just a really funny story. I'm sure he did that at every concert, but and then he played little girl, I Want to Marry You.
Yeah.
But that's quite the performer.
That's good. Yeah. But I know you have extra questions, but my explanations were so long you couldn't ask them all to me.
It's okay. Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yes. But I would say this, to one of the questions I think you had was all the crazy drills that are on the internet now or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always tell my people, like, don't watch the internet for pitching drills. It's just off the wall crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you get a good one once in a while, you're lucky. And the good ones once in a while are things that we known for years. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people doing crazy stuff on the internet to get clicks and attention and not helping people. And I know a few of them. I know a few of them. One played for me. One, I love it. A great person. Okay. And I'm not going to mention her name. Okay. But a great person. She played for us. Not very talented pitcher, not at all. Okay. She was the worst pitcher on the team. And she's big on the internet on doing lessons. And she texts me like once a year, 2 times a year, and this, that. And I don't want to tell her this because I like her so much. 99% of the things that come out of her mouth are garbage. You know what I mean? And she only played for us 1 year. And she got better. She was our 5th best pitcher. She got better, but she was never really good. And she was a really nice person. And I'm saying, like, you're doing drills that don't make any sense at all just to be excited about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's good with helping little kids. And she's good at helping little 10-year-olds. But after that, she's no good. You know what I mean? But has it. And this is the thing, I think I told you this once, Ken, when we were talking a month ago or so, when I used to have that big an academy. And there was a time when my worst instructor had the most students.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they like her.
Yeah.
They just like her. Yeah. And that's reminds me of this girl.
Yeah.
She's a likable person. She's a bad pitching coach and a likable person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's good with younger kids. Yep. And I said, no, don't say that. Oh, I see you on the internet. And don't say that. No, that's not this doesn't apply to everybody. You can't say that. You know, every pitcher should be doing this and every pitcher should be doing this. I said, no, don't say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, she's likable and this and that. So I always tell my pitching parents and students, don't watch Facebook or social media and for pitching drills. You'll drive yourself nuts. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doug, thank you so much for spending so much time with us. We're probably going to have to do this again just to get to some of the other questions, just because Jay and I are interested in your answers.
Yeah,
hopefully the rest of the audience is too, but that we want to do that again. Jay, before we go, do you want to mention about our promotion?
Yeah, really quickly, what we're going to be doing with From the Coach's Mouth is we have got some t-shirts made. So if you can show us that you have given us a follow on Spotify or wherever you can find us, Apple Podcast, and then also share an episode. This would be a great episode to share because it's Doug Gillis. I mean, come on. If you can show us you doing those 2 things, please show it to us. Send Ken and I an email and we will send you out a t-shirt. We have limited supply. So it's going to be first come, first serve. And if you can help get the word out about this awesome podcast, we're growing. We just want to keep the growth going. And we want to thank some of the people who are following us. So again, click follow on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Also share an episode. It doesn't have to be this one, but this one would be great. Show us that, either a video or a little picture of it, and send Ken and I an email, and we will absolutely send you out a t-shirt.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Okay, that's it for us this week. Thanks to all of you for listening and the kind words you've been sharing with us. If you like what you're hearing, please remember to give us a like, leave a comment, and share this podcast on your social media channels like Jay just told you. Make sure you never miss an episode by following us on your favorite podcast platform. If you're so inclined, you can also leave us a great review on Apple Podcasts to help more people find us. On behalf of the From the Coach's Mouth podcast, have a great rest of your week and weekend.